There we go. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. I guess it's good
evening.
Morning the next day. How are you, Scott?
I'm doing great today. How about you?
Good. It's great to see you again.
Yeah.
I know you've been very busy at work and, of course, getting things ready for Pressing Matters and some writing from Audiophilia. So you've been a busy guy. You're a busy reviewer.
Yeah.
You've jumped the shark from funning for fun, and now to like, oh, I've got to review this $5,000 turntable. Oh my god!
Yeah,
I better get serious.
Yes.
Well, I can tell you guys, I've already read the outline of his turntable review, and it is brilliant.
Oh, thank you.
It's like he has a great English expression, to the manner born, and Scott is to the manner born as far as reviews are concerned. If you've read his music reviews already, you'll understand. At all. Okay, so hello, good evening, everybody. Let me just get the gang up. Hey, Jim, how are you?
Hi,
There's Jim.
hello,
Hi,
everybody.
Jim.
Live from London and looking splendid with his luscious hair.
There you
And
are.
of course, Jack,
My
live from
hair.
quite so much luscious hair. Live from Tennessee. Good to see you guys. Jack, how was you drive back last week? It was so much fun to see you on the road.
You know, I didn't drive. A dear friend of mine.
Oh yeah.
You know, luckily, no, it was great. You know, but just doing that in the car sure passed the time quick. So
I bet it did. Yeah, we had a lot of fun watching
much
you.
of an inconvenience for you guys.
So Jim, I checked the Heathrow live cam every day, and you've had 4 or 5 days of sun.
Yeah.
After about 3 months of
It's been, but it's going to change, I think, this week apparently, as it always does in UK.
Have you been up to Everton to see the new stadium?
No, I've seen the new stadium. It looks fabulous.
Yeah, you might win something.
You can see it from all over the northwest practically. It's
Even
good.
Newcastle won it after 70 years. That's actually fun to see them beat Liverpool and win the Carabao Cup. It's the first trophy for 70 years. And that whole city went nuts. Okay, guys. So tonight we have Angie is in Dallas at the Texas show. Excuse me. That thing from a month ago is still hanging around. Angie's going to try and get on. So we have a very special guest tonight, Oswaldo from Let There Be Sound. Ozzy's going to be talking about cartridges and all sorts of things. And Scott will lead the interview, but you can all pipe in, and we're going to talk cartridges tonight as a subject to which I love dearly. It's they're like, to me, it's like jewelry. Like, you know, women look at diamonds, and then I like cartridges. I just love them.
Yeah.
Oh, let's go through some comments. Of course, from our mascot, Joey. Hi, everybody. Hope you are well. It's everything classical. It sure is the best night of the week. I think so, too.
You know what's good about cartridges, Anthony? They're small enough to sneak into the house.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, we got some. I'm sure we'll have some stories tonight. Oh, my God. And then Joey said, thank you to Sky. Hopefully Sky will be on a little bit later. Sky's a splendid fellow from Kansas City. Dave Holland, great album. So he liked it. And Derek, I think you're not new because I've seen your ID there. I think we are talking cartridge tonight. We are.
Yes,
We've got a
we
trick for you.
are.
Now, I think his name is Tom. He's a fellow that jumps into my Instagram DMs and shows me records that he buys every week, which is nice. And he's getting some great records. But he had a question about an artist, and I think I don't have a photograph of him, unfortunately. What was his first name, Jim? Munrow. David. Is it David Munrow?
Oh, David Munrow, yeah.
And he had a question about David Munrow because he had a record coming in. Well, David Munrow was basically the father. Some people say it's who's the guy who begins with H, the conductor, Hanukkah. But the real early music, the Schwams and the medieval music, sackbuts, was done by David Munrow. He was a very talented fellow, very naturally gifted musician. Studied at Cambridge, I think, or Oxford. I think it was Cambridge. Then did a year or two at the academy. But he started recording and the BBC got a hold of him. And he actually made medieval music very popular for a year or two there in England. Sadly, he was very, very had a lot of depression, and unfortunately, he committed suicide when he was only about 33. Remember that, Jim? I remember that, and it was it was terrible.
Yeah, in the early 70s, wasn't it?
Yeah, when we just near time we went to Trinity, and it was a big loss. And so yeah, if you want to get a David Munrow album, they're great, and it's basically you're getting at the source. Like he kind of did all the research and how you play the instruments and during Roman times and Egyptian times. It's amazing. Plus medieval music. And,
well, he was primarily a recorder player, wasn't he, as well?
Yeah, he was so talented. Someone gave him a bassoon when he was a kid, and he went away for 2 weeks, came back, and he played it at conservatory level. He's one of those guys, Here's a bassoon. The bassoon, the left thumb on the bassoon has 10 keys. The flute has 2. The bassoon has 10. It's a very challenging instrument. So
yeah, but he only plays 2 notes every 10 minutes, so you're all right.
I know. Bob.
Oh dear, no.
We used to joke around if we were doing a band gig and with saxophones. Oh, you've got 16th notes. Oh, please, all it is a black notes. Anyway, so Tom, I hope you got a chance to watch, and your comment disappeared, but I remembered it. Andrew, of course, morning to from the Canberra office, and he says, the best Laval's conducting and playing it. What do you think, guys?
I would say, for me, the ones I know, Munch, Paré. I love both of those.
Munch, Paré, for me, absolutely exceptional.
Clutons, Martin.
Yeah. There you go. You got 4 there. I just was listening to Clayton's today. Scott did a wonderful video on Testament. It was almost as good as the Audiophilia video on Testament. Really good. I watched it again, my video, because I was thinking, Scott's voice is beautiful and elegant. Mine's not too bad. But one on Scott's that I actually ordered today, I don't think Jan heard me, was Callas singing French operatic arias. I started listening to that this week. That is an incredible album.
Yeah.
Her singing, you hear about Callas La Divina, and she's greatest. But my God, what an instrument. And then you hear about Cecilia Bartoli, and she can sing low. Then you hear Callas sound like a freaking trombone. Like, it's just unbelievable, this singing in the stratosphere. Amazing. The Samson and Delilah, the Sanson is fantastic. And also the I think it's the Gounod is amazing.
Yeah, it's a great.
You've heard the Matt Callas quote from that new film Maria? She's sat outside a cafe in Paris, and the cafe owner comes out and says, "Madame Callas, wouldn't you like to sit inside away from the cold?" And she said, "My dear, I'm not here to eat. I'm here to be admired." It's a very good line, that.
There's photographs on the Maria Callas website of her when she was quite heavy. And she just said, I was so sick of getting told by directors and producers lose weight. But she said she wasn't feeling good. She wasn't moving well. Her voice was being affected. She lost 80 pounds and kept the 80 pounds off for the rest of her life. And she looked absolutely spectacular.
Yeah.
There is a photograph in the Carnegie Hall Museum that I've always loved. And it's basically, she's in this beautiful gown, these beautiful shoes, and she's just finished her concert. And she's in the front of the stage. And this audience who adore her, throwing flowers, and they basically rush the stage. And the look on her face is she's just loving this adoration. So she's amazing. That's an amazing photograph. You can find it online. Carnegie Hall.
There's a picture here from this early one where she's, you can tell she was a little bit heavier.
Well, she had a tapeworm, didn't she, to lose weight?
Well, that's what they say, but they're not sure.
I don't know.
Well,
she ate vegetables and chicken.
They didn't have Ozempic then.
Yeah, Ozempic.
Well, she probably got the tapeworm from the pork at La Scala, probably. Or something.
you know, she's so beloved, and I always find these stories a little bit, effete and effective. But there's a pianist in Montreal named Claude Savard, an amazingly good pianist, one of those guys that should be way ahead, but maybe didn't get the breaks. But he's a concert pianist, professor at the University of Montreal. And when she died, he had a nervous breakdown. He loved her so much as an artist and had that kind of aesthetic as an artist himself, Claude Savard. You can hear his recordings. He's a wonderful pianist, but he had a nervous breakdown because he was so affected by that lady's death. Anyway, so Carlos, the French operatic arias, you can stream it. It's amazing.
Yeah. The Mad Scenes is good too.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. Really good. Andrew
also said, a new original source, Boston Ravel release from DJ. I've not heard it. I'm not buying any of them till Jim, MG, lovely Jim, is going to check out the sound for me and say, you can get that one, Anthony, because there were 2 or 3 that were just duds.
Yeah.
The Carrie-Anne Grieg and the another one.
The Grieg was the worst.
What's it? The New World with Kubelik, which is a very famous New World. So, Hey, Mark, how are you? Has anyone purchased Hilary Hahn Bar concertos? No, I've got her Isaïe concertos after Sky's review, and it's they're wonderful. And Frederick, hey Frederick, how are you? Laval's Paray Mercury Living Friends. It's
yeah. Love that.
Yeah. You can't go wrong with this one.
Right.
It's magnificent. This is the Classic Records reissue. It's magnificent, as Frederick says. I think the Munch one is not so much better played, just different. But Paray gets that orchestra playing out of its skin. He thinks. Hey Nick, how are you? The info about carts seemed like a drunken game of telephone. Wait till I see Aussie's carts. Stick around, Nick. Your expertise would be highly appreciated.
This one's pretty good too.
Oh, let me just hang on. Go ahead, Ben. Yes, I've heard that's very good. Is that the Analog Productions?
Yeah, the original is in a 4 LP box of all orchestral music from Ravel. It's very good too.
Well, Joey, that's a question. Anthony, you picked up the Tilson Thomas Winter Dreams. I would love to. It's a fantastic performance. And I'm sure that even the original recording is not too bad. There's only, the Rite of Spring is the one that's insanely bad. But I'm not buying anything until I get some reviews because, of course, they take all my quotes, but they don't ever offer. I think only 1 or 2 people get the records ahead of time, and that's fine. And I don't want them ahead of time. I don't accept free records anymore. I got offered Elusive Disc Hurdy-Gurdy Man. Did you get an email about that Hurdy-Gurdy Man, Scott?
Not yet, but AB said she might get me one.
I said to AB, no, send it to Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's not my cup of tea, although it's a great song.
Yeah.
But free records, why? First of all, we're not going to wreck our reputation for a stupid $30 record. No. But still, it's, so no, Joey. I will, if Jim and a couple other people say it's good, I will pick it up. Comes out this Friday.
Well, I picked up the original a few weeks ago for 99 cents. So
what, the Winter Dreams?
Yeah, the DJ.
Oh, it's a fine performance. Yeah,
it is. Excellent.
Hi, Recordhead. I think you're new. Is he new, gentlemen?
I think so.
Hey, Recordhead, how are you? Let us know where you're from.
I don't think I know who that is.
But you may, Scott. Have a read it, please, Scott.
I don't know who it is, but I guess he saw the video. How to make Testament stock and elusive disc disappear. Have Scott make a video about that. Yeah, I know. Did you?
You know what you can do? Just do like I do. Go to the Testament Records website. They, like I said, have no financial affiliation, but they have outstanding customer service. good shipping. Gets here really. I had one record that was a little warped. They sent it back. Sent me another one straight away. Really nice people.
Mm.
This is from Ryan and Maui. Anthony, I just sent you a David Munrow album. Oh, Ryan, you are so generous. Ryan, you know that Julius album, The Argo? Now, I need that one. That's what say that again. Jan said, Anthony, behave. Ryan, I got the producer telling me off, begging for records. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Jan is good. And Record said he watched Delayed Overnight. Oh, cool. You may be where you're from. So let's have lots of questions, guys. Lots of questions and comments. Scott, I saw Scott on Facebook today. I think playing a series in Japan was in the.
It's a baseball question.
Oh yeah, that's right. They're playing in the Dodgers are playing in Tokyo, right? Yeah.
The Dodgers are in. They clinched the playoffs already. They won their first 2 games.
Oh, I must have missed all these questions. Sorry, I'm sorry. Here. Oh my God, I thought I missed all these questions. Okay, guys, I got to ask these questions, then we'll get to. So Rick says, "Hey Joey and everyone else." Frederick, good evening, everyone. Eric, hey Eric, I'm glad you came back, my friend.
Yep.
Have you been up to Angie's yet? She's away right now. Daryl, hey Daryl, greetings all. And Joey says, "Hope all is well, Rick. Great weather today in the mitten." Scott says, "Good evening, everybody." And Frederick says, "Yes to Hanbach and Shadows."
Yep.
And Wicked Exile, hola caballeros. Rick says, "A great lead into spring." We've got all these great questions. Scott says, "Loading up on Cartridge tonight. I'm sure the show will be a bang." Well, yeah.
Wait.
Rick says, "Good evening, guys. Anthony, Scott, Jack, and James."
Nick.
Good evening.
And Nick says, "I love carts too. I've got about 30 of them all mounted to head shells." Yeah, you'll see Aussies. That's how the pros do it. Yeah, not like Jan. Oh God. Well, the worst is the phasmation. We love phasmation, but they have the little nuts underneath. So, oh God. Jan, how do you like putting on phasmation cartridges? Jan says, "Don't even go there." Yeah, they're not easy. We'll talk about that tonight. Scott says, "When it comes to sneaking things into the house, the garage is your friend." Oh, hey, Ray, how are you? Down in Christchurch, New Zealand. Beautiful Christchurch. My God, what a beautiful place. Hi, old lunchtime treat. We've been a very, very bad influence on young Eric. Yes, the garage is a good option to sneak things into the home. And Frederick said, "Munrow music for Henry VIII is very cool." Yes, it was. That's right. Henry VIII and his six wives, was it Keith Michelle on the BBC? That show that would it projected the BBC. Wow, because the Americans went nuts for that show.
The dances from Terpsichore or Terpsichore or something on Classics Pleasure. That's a good old David Munrow one as well.
It is, yeah. Or as it's Terpsichore, but of course as
Terpsichore, right?
As Sinatra calls it, Terpsichore. When he's in that line in his song, every time Terpsichore in his New Jersey accent.
Hey,
I know, easy, buddy. I know.
hey,
It's like don't bug Frank. He's still upset over the Mia thing, right?
but when I meet another person from New Jersey, I don't say hello. I ask, "What exit?"
Oh yeah. Well, the New Jersey Turnpike. Time we were driving on that. My mother was, bless her heart, she recently passed away. She was in her 90s. She had a great life, but she was not the most strongest of people, especially in a car. And we're driving on the New Jersey Turnpike, and the truck by Hackensack, and the trucks are going by us. And all of a sudden, she starts sobbing. Like she was so scared. My poor mom. It's pretty crazy. The Palisades Parkway is much nicer.
Hackensack will do that to you. Home of Rudy Van Gelder's original studio.
That's right. That's right.
We rode
And
our bike there.
I beg your pardon?
I rode my bike there when I was.
Oh, yeah. To pay homage.
Just the guys walk in and out.
Nick has an AQ404 Audi Quest. Yeah, they're involved in Saliva. And if anyone knows, Angie knows. I'm sure Ozzy knows. And I never get to watch the stream live. Hopefully, I can stick around for it. Let's hope so. Okay, so then I think we caught up. Sorry, I was. Oh, you're close to. Can you read that, Jack?
Yes, since I'm in Louisville, Kentucky. That's Louisville, not Louisville. Louisville. Big fan of the channels. Semi-newbie to classical. Well, that's our ideal person, right, Anthony?
We're very happy to have you. We had young Mr. Wong last week, and we love. I mean, we have world-class musicians come guest on. We have world-class musicians on the panel, and we also have people who are new to it, which we love. We love. Like I said, when Scott and I started this, it was for everybody, and no dumb questions. What's your favorite version of the Four Seasons? That's a great question. We love that.
And Record Head, I'm just south of Knoxville. That's Knoxville for you guys.
Jim, didn't you win a big prize at Trinity for doing?
Yeah, Knoxville, the summer of 1915.
Yeah.
Samuel Barber, great piece.
And who gave you the prize?
The clarinetist of the Philharmonic.
No, wasn't it Yehudi? Wasn't it Yehudi?
Yes. Oh, you mean at the prize giving?
Yeah.
I thought you meant the adjudicator was what's his name? John
McCaw from the Philharmonic.
That's right.
I remember calling him up and saying, Mr. McCaw, would you be able to adjudicate the chamber music competition at Trinity? What date is it? So I told him the date. He says, "Oh, one moment, please. I'll just get my book." And he's a genius clarinet player. Talking about the Mozart clarinet, I can show us later if we get to it today. So Jack says, would you, a typical professional, where, when, how much? Where, your Trinity, yeah, when? Okay. How much? I said, would 85 pounds be okay? He said, I beg your pardon? I said, would 85 pounds be okay? That's what I was offered for the Trinity Union. And he nearly fell off his chair. He said, I'll make sure I get a sub that day. Because, they in England, they don't make that much money. It's ridiculous.
Well, that was from the Philharmonia, wasn't it? You got a sub.
It was the Philharmonia. I mean, it was the Philharmonia, I know. James, sorry I'm late. It's a little bit like the orchestra that you watch on their downbeats. They're always bloody late. Still looking for the... Jan's laughing at that one. He's still looking for the Zappa record. Hey, Jim, how are you? And Eric says, I've not had a chance to visit Angie yet. That's because you're still smiling. You'll be coming out crying with your wallet. Haven't tried a face mission yet. Well, Ozzy will talk about them in a minute. Both Ozzy and Angie. Angie sent me two cartridges. And I did the first reviews, and man, a lot of people. Well, let's put it this way. When I did the review of the 2000, they put up the PP2000. They put up my review came out. They put up their price from $6,000 to $8,000. Those companies, they're terrible. Oh, can you read that one, Scott? Put your mic on, Scott.
Sorry. From Derek. I'm looking forward to hear how Scott is enjoying his new phasmation. Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about it tonight and a lot more on the channel as well.
That's a Hoboken accent, buddy boy. And Leanne snuggled up in her jammies with a cup of tea or a cup of cocoa.
Leanne.
Hi, Leanne.
In snowy Quebec. And Wicked said his aunt's home was 2 blocks from Rudy's parents' home. Oh, cool.
That's that Rudy Van Gelder's house in Hackensack has been destroyed. It's a doctor's office now.
Oh.
Hang on, here we go. Leanne straight in. Hi, Joey. All is well, thanks. Hope all is well with you. Straight away, flirting with Joey. Oh, even Ray from from Christchurch. Hey, Leanne. Well, she's a beautiful woman. Why wouldn't you? That's absolutely. And a wonderful woman. And straight away, Leanne, straight back. Hi, Ray. Boy, she doesn't miss a trick. That girl doesn't miss a trick. Okay, so that's it for that. Okay. Now,
Wonder if
Nick says, yeah, 2K after your review came out. Wow. Well, check out, there's only one review of mine of the N51 from MBL. It was 17,500. It's now 21,400. Oh, they're terrible, those guys. Okay, so now here we go. Adding to the stage. Hey, Oz, how are you?
Hello, good evening. Greetings, guys. How are you?
The great Oswaldo from Let There Be Sound in Western Florida. Let me get you big there.
Yes, is the great.
There we are, the great.
Thanks
so
for
Scott
having me.
and Ozzy are good friends. So how do you guys know each other? How did you meet? How did it go, Scott?
Go ahead, Scott.
Excuse me. Let me take a sip of tea. Ozzy, well, about the first year into my channel, I was struggling with my system, with a cartridge, and had no help. And he reached out to me in the comments and said, I think I can help you, and I'm nearby. So I was like, who is this guy? I didn't know, but he's kind of a legend in this area, in this industry. So one day I went over, he helped me with resetting a cartridge. We checked my preamp. We decided to do some updates to it. And ever since, we've been very good friends. He's helped me immensely in building my system and getting it up to the level it should be to do what I do. So, yeah, Ozzy is the kind of dealer that everyone wants to have. Unfortunately, they're pretty rare.
Thank you.
So, okay. So before we
Thank
get
you,
into the main thing for tonight, which is going to be cartridges, we could talk about moving magnets, moving coils, and moving irons if you got them. And I think some of the team have got some cartridges to show. What do you think about the pricing of cartridges lately, Oz? What do you think? Especially moving coil.
Well, I think it doesn't affect me. I sell cartridges at all price levels. Some of my favorite are under $1,000.
What lines?
Technica, for example, has some amazing offerings. Sumiko as well. So, and by the way, I'm not afraid of moving magnet. That's one thing that people are so fixated on, that they have to have moving coils. Pretty soon you'll realize when you look at my collection that I have, love for all of them. Either they make music or they do not make music. And that's the final arbitrator to me.
That's a great attitude to have.
Absolutely.
Now, what lines do you sell? What do you officially sell?
Officially, that I can think of the top of my head, I am a shelter dealer.
Shelter.
Vandenhall, of course, Fatemation, which I adore. My Sonic Lab. Grado, I'm a Grado dealer. I can also get my hands on Airtight. I like Airtight very much.
I just reviewed the Airtight SP1. Oh my God.
Oh, good. Okay.
It's a lovely, lovely cartridge.
It's really unbelievable. Anything else escaping me? Technica, Koetsu, but they're not around anymore.
Yeah, what happened to Koetsu? Just
the principal passed away a couple of years ago, and they just didn't have the heart. They didn't want anyone buying the company. I think they were just ready to throw in the towel. Sadly, they did not want to let anyone in to carry on carry on with the legacy, which is a shame, really.
A lot of those Japanese boutique companies, I found, are kind of led by one man.
Yeah,
who's usually trained with Aikido or Aikido-san. Yeah. And then when they retire or die, the company just closes, right?
I think so.
Aikido kept going because of his daughter, but it's the same. Koetsu, boy, a lot of people were crying when Koetsu left.
Yes, absolutely. I thankfully had 3 or 4 of those laying around. I'm keeping 2 for sure, because something I do here is that I'm a VPI dealer, of course, and I have an Avenger reference turntable, which is a rim drive technology, and next to it I have an HW40 which is a direct drive. So one of the things I love to do for people is when they're curious and they're shopping at this level, I'm able to afford them the chance to listen to two top-end turntables with the same cartridge. I have two coaxial black gold lines on each of the tables, and we run them through the very same phono stage. And I went through the trouble of getting into a Fat Boy tone arm as well on the unipivot. So I'm able to, because the Avenger is a unipivot, and of course the HW40 is a gimbal tone arm, but they're both the same level tone arm. So it's brilliant because you can sit there and play the same record from one turntable to the next on the very same level cartridge, and people can usually pick up on the differences. And I let people choose. I don't tell them. Some people prefer the sound of the direct drive. Some people still prefer the sound of the Avenger reference. I think they're both wonderful and obviously at the same level, but different.
It's like
But
wine.
it's
It's like wine, right, Ozzy? Someone likes Merlot, someone likes Meritage.
Absolutely.
04HC, I think you're new, so welcome. A very warm welcome to you. Ozzy, can you read that, my friend?
Let me put my comment for cards. Sure. Well, let's see. Affordable, define affordable, maybe under $500, maybe. Is that affordable?
Let's try that, yeah.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of the Sumiko line of cartridges. I'm a big fan of the Audio-Technica cartridges. So you can basically choose. For example, one of my favorite is about a $469 moving coil. Is the Audio-Technica AT33EV. It's got an elliptical styli, but no matter, it's just very forgiving and it's very musical. I've featured a lot of these cartridges often on my channel, by the way. So if anyone's curious, just go to the YouTube channel for Let There Be Sound, and you'll see you'll get hits for, a lot of different brands, even ones I don't represent, just because I like to feature as much variety as possible. But I would say to you that if you stick with a Sumiko cartridge, by the way, Grados are great too. And that's a moving iron, of course, which is closer to having a moving magnet. So you have to make sure your phono stage can handle, of course, 47K. They will not sound right if you are trying to load it down to something else. And they're wonderful. They're also very musical. So for a classical, I would say any of those three will do the trick. But it depends on the phono stage, right? It's not really just a cartridge. It's how it marries with, how it sounds with the phono stage. That's very important.
Very important.
Audio-Technica there?
For 04HC, because he said also in mono for those adventures. This is, and Jack has this. We reviewed this. I didn't actually review it, but I've got it in my system. And it's remarkable. And it's, what was it, Jack? $250?
I think it might have been $299, but it's under $300. I know that it was $2 something.
Incredible.
I'm a big fan.
Incredible.
Audio-Technicas to me are fantastic. They're really highly underrated in my view. Even the higher end models are fantastic. One of my favorite in the $1,000 to $2,000 category would be the Art 9 XI. It's $1,500. Let me tell you, that's technically a $2,500, $3,000 sounding cartridge for about half.
Yes, I've heard
that is a brilliant cartridge. Brilliant, absolutely. So that's my typical go-to. If somebody has to stick closer to 1,000, I'll sell them that cartridge. If they can afford a little better, a little more budget, then I move them clearly into the Fascination world. I think the PP200, which is their entry level at $17.99 US, is unbelievable. It really reminds me of a Koetsu black gold line, and that was a $3,000 cartridge before it went away. So there you go.
Leanne, our lovely Leanne, she has a question for you. Can you read that one? Got lots of questions for you, Oz.
Performance-wise, you're probably asking the wrong guy because I love both of them. I will show you my collection and you'll understand. If I had to perhaps be more specific, I would say that the coils typically tend to pull a bit more information, especially at the upper end. When you get into the higher end of the coils, they're going to have a bit more information, but you have to be far more precise with your magnet to the phono. You have to be far more precise and hopefully having a phono stage that you can change the loading, because that becomes an issue if you don't have a way to control the moving coil. Some people have issues with that, and it's understandable. Some cartridges prefer to be loaded down to in the 100 ohm range or below, and they're not able to do so because maybe their phono stage, the lowest loading could be 500. So you could get into a situation where a moving coil might sound a little too bright on occasion, and then you have to, there are other ways to handle that, right? You can try to lower the VTA at the back a little bit, maybe play with the tracking force to try to deal with the problem. But it's best dealt
great
with.
recommendations. All great recs, bud. So Wicked Exile has another question. This one's a little complicated one. So you want to read that one?
Cutter head style mounting along with the master engineer's monitor. Is he talking about the styli of the cutter head rather than the cartridge?
I guess in combination with.
Okay, I'm not sure how to answer that necessarily because I'm not I don't know much. I mean, I'm not a cutting engineer. You know, we trust that they will do the right job for us to as consumers, right?
Well, I think Wicked mentioned, he said, the synergy of these three styli is the key factor in maximizing playback performance. Yeah. Well, you'd hope that guys would get it right, you know?
Well, of course. That's why you stick with quality reissue labels that are known for their quality, and they're going to put out really high quality vinyl. You know, there's nothing you can do to fix a poor mastering, a poor pressing. I don't care what cartridge you have.
How about that one, Oz?
Yeah. I do not have tons of experience with SPUs. I have one here. Well, I'm not sure that's an SPU, but that's an older Ortofon. I do not. I've set them up for customers, but I have not personally owned them. The few times I've heard them, I've liked what I've heard. I think they're wonderful. The ones that are integrated into the head shell, I think they're fine.
Okay, so before we go to the next questions, maybe we'll turn it around, Oz.
Okay, it'll be my pleasure. Let's do that. Let me just take the camera off the tripod and let's handhold this.
This is Ozzy's collection.
Yes, let me go on the other side.
Oh my God.
Here's the mother load, guys. The mother load.
Okay, we want to know all the technology between every cartridge, the stylus, the tracking force, the loading.
Oh, no.
Every single one.
So let's see if I can
give us a little tour.
So, okay, well, let's see. Here's a couple of retips. This is an Ortofon bronze and a Sumiko cartridge. This Ortofon is also, this is an oddball. This came, I used to be dealer for a German brand of turntables called, what was the name? It sounds like the other German, anyway, it came with this cartridge. This Ortofon was kind of an oddball. It was not available elsewhere other than with this manufacturer. I forget what the V stands for, but it's interesting cartridge, actually very good cartridge. What else do we have here? We have Microacoustics. This is a hell of a cartridge, guys. This guy here is fantastic, the 530 MP. By the way, someone mentioned earlier in this show, the AudioQuest. And here we have an AudioQuest 404. I think this is the I model. Sorry, it probably gets a little fussy.
There we go.
This is a great cartridge. And by the way, this was my very first cartridge that I owned when, let's call it, I evolved from being a kid, you know, a 17, 16-year-old that used to buy, his father used to take him to like the local, you know, big box, well, not big box, but Sound Advice in Florida was the go-to store back in the 70s and 80s. And then I moved on to having my first high-end turntable was a Soda Sapphire. That might be a name that some of you guys know. Soda's still around, of course. And that turntable was, I bought that table and I put in a Sumiko FT3 tone arm, which was a straight line tone arm. And this was my very first moving coil. Sorry, my second moving coil. This AudioQuest I was very happy with for some years. And that's exactly the same cartridge. I've kept it all along. That's a beautiful sounding cartridge. Here we have a Bang & Olufsen cartridge. These are actually quite
yeah.
surprising, you know. This is the Bang & Olufsen, what is it, the 4000? Very good cartridge. Here we have a Sumiko cartridge. This is the Talisman A. I'm sorry if you're getting fussy.
It's okay, no problem.
That should be on this side where I have the other Talisman. See, we have some other Sumiko carts. These are very good sounding high output moving coils, guys. So they were believers in having high output cartridges. More vintage stuff over here. This is an Empire 2000E, EI. This is one of my favorites. This is the famous Grace F9.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is a beautiful sounding cartridge. And again, many of these that I'm showing you here, I've already featured on my YouTube channel. Here's an oddball. I never knew
Okay.
a Thai PC 100. I found this on someone else's YouTube channel. And even through his video, it sounded so compelling to me, I had to go and get one. And it didn't let me down. This is quite good, guys. Very good. Well, here's an Ortophon. Here is another Grace cartridge, another F9, a different variant, of course. Here is a Carnegie cartridge. That's a Carnegie 2. That's an old moving coil. What else? Oh, Sumiko. Here's a Sumiko Show. This guy's very interesting,
Oh, yeah.
as you can see. It always reminded me of the Enterprise. You know, it's got that kind of shape. Very good cartridge. It's a moving coil, of course. And here we have, oh, these are kind of interesting. These are the Atcom. You guys know Atcom, of course, the manufacturer of electronics. So I guess they had these were made in Japan for Atcom. And there was another variant. You probably remember the brand SAE. They had electronics in the 70s and 80s.
Mm-hmm.
So they I guess bought them from the same maker in Japan. So I have the
selection. Jesus.
Yeah, so that's the SAE variant, and I have the Adcom. I have two of them. I'm telling you, I haven't seen a lot of these carts in probably a decade.
I've never seen those carts. Never.
This is a Kiseki. This is one of the original Kiseki carts, the Kiseki Blue Gold Spot.
Oh, look at that.
This is magnificent, guys. From the original first time Kiseki was around, not the latter generation Kiseki. This is quite lovely. And this was what a bargain back in the day. I used to sell that cartridge back in the late 80s when I first got in the industry. This guy was only like $5.95, I recall, which I guess for 1989 was a lot of money. But considering what that is and how good that sounds, that's nothing. What else do I have around here? This was one of my first coils too. This is a Yamaha cartridge. This is a very good MC. I have a Vandenhole here, an MC10. Here is an old Shure. This is a Grado, a vintage Grado. I have some cool head shells over here. That's a Koetsu head shell. People are always trying to buy that off of me, and I'm never going to get rid of it.
Ryan says, "What high-end head shell do you recommend?"
You know, as of late, I'm a big fan of. Where is it? Oh, here. This one. The Nasotech is quite good. This is what they call the swing head shell. So it actually swings and it corrects for alignment on the fly. So this is actually quite good. I've sold several of these and my clients are very, very happy. You know, the standard Gelco is some of my favorites. Best bang for the buck. I think you can still get them off of eBay from Japan. I like them because they're magnesium, and I like the fact that you can adjust azimuth. To me, that's very key.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's key. That is key to compensate sometimes for a slightly skewed cantilever, right? This is key. So there you see the set screw, and then you're able to move the head shell this way to adjust for azimuth. So I have many of those because I think that's a very key feature. So Gelco. This was branded under the Sumiko brand, but it's basically a Gelco. So that would be a great go-to. Some of the manufacturers that I represent have their own head shells. I've sold a Masonic Lab head shell, for example. That's a quality head shell as well. What else do we have here? This is an oddball Clear Audio. This is a Clear Audio Discovery. This was actually made for the original Clear Audio importer, which was a dear friend of mine. Well, he still is a dear friend of mine. Joe DePhillips was the original importer of Clear Audio into the States. And his company was called he owns Discovery Cable. He still manufactures speaker cables and interconnects.
Cool.
And they made a cartridge with the Discovery name just for him. Very neat, cool cartridge. I have some vintage Monster cable cartridges. The Genesis 1000.
That was my
Alpha
first.
1000 is there.
Wow, look at that.
And I have a Genesis 2000. The Sigma Genesis 2000, the Mark II. Those are nice. Very nice. I just found a Koetsu in my collection. I didn't even know I had an original Koetsu black. Literally just sitting there. It looks in beautiful condition. Honestly, guys, I did not know I had that. So I'm thrilled that I found one more Koetsu. Here's an oddball guy, Andante. Not much, don't know much about it. And to be honest, I haven't even heard it. Here's one of my favorite moving magnets in the world. This is the famous Stanton S881S.
Oh, that was
This is brilliant cartridge. I have a new one in the box here. You can see it a little better. This is a beautiful cartridge. This was one of the first cartridges I owned before when I was a kid. And I think it's wonderful. Here's a Face Nation. Still
There it is.
in the box. The PP200 is my current favorite under $2,000. That is one hell of a cartridge. What else do I have here? I have a bunch of Denons, guys. One of my first coils was also this Denon. This is the famous DL103D, which is considered by many to be the finest they ever made of the series. I like that one. But I have many variants, including the 100th anniversary Denon right there, DL103. It's like in a clear body.
Amazing.
I have a couple of Zoo cable versions where they changed the body and they put the aluminum body on there. They have the M, the S, the R, you name it, I have it. Clear audios, I have a few clear audios. And, these, I'm leaving these for last on purpose, guys. Well, I have a Dynavector here. And this is what I call my pet cemetery. This is where they go to die, these are all like bodies. But you know what? Many of these we'll see live because I'm going to send some of these to my buddy Steve Lung of BAS in New Jersey. And he's a very skilled, he basically rebuilds cartridges.
He's amazing.
He is unbelievable. Believe me, no matter what it is, he can fix it and make it as good as factory. I tell you, I have some guys that tell me the carts come back sounding better than new. So that's incredible. So this is a brand that's not very well known, guys. It's called Argent. Does anyone know Argent? I'm sorry, I'm not able to see comments when I'm doing this. I'm not sure why.
We've got lots of comments for you when you finish the tour.
Okay, so Argent is actually a brand from the US. It was based in New York. And the best understanding I have of this brand is that this was a gentleman. I believe that he was Japanese, from Japan, but he moved into this country. And he basically designed this whole line called Argent. And they had several models. They have the MC300, which I'm showing you here. They had an MC 500. These are coils. But my favorite is what they call the MC110. This is really, really surprising. This clear top is actually sapphire. And they also had a variant of this cartridge called the Argent Diamond. And my understanding is that was one of the world's first moving coils. And this must be dating back to, I don't know, I guess late 80s or mid 80s that had a diamond cantilever. Yeah.
Well,
and
incredible collection, my friend. Okay, I got some questions for you.
Okay,
Here
cool.
we go.
I'm not sure how to see them. There we go. Okay, I see them.
Some of these are out of production, right? Can you get good value for buying vintage, or is it too risky?
I would say it is definitely risky. The only way that I would recommend you buying vintage cartridge, it's really, you have to trust the source. If you have a good dealer, a local friend, a dealer who who actually deals in that, and he can let you hear it and inspect it in person, or maybe even give you a money back guarantee. Maybe I do that all the time. Like, I basically will ship a cartridge, and it's a trust system, of course. You break it, you pay for it. But I am a big believer of letting people hear these things. And listen, my locals, that they know me. Well, Scott will vouch for me.
Scott can vouch for you.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Because listen, a cartridge is a very personal thing. Just because I love it in my system doesn't mean you're going to love it in your system, because we have different electronics, different speakers, different everything. So I almost insist any of the cards that I have on my floor, whether it's my Sonic Lab Signature Golds, it's a $9,000 cartridge, and the Coexo Black, whatever it is, I'm not afraid to come over and install that in your setup and let you have it for the weekend or longer if need be. Because that's the only way, guys. That really is the only way. You wouldn't dare buy a car off of a brochure. You have to drive it, right?
It's a great question, and it's going to open a can of worms because we've all experienced this. When is it worth to consider retipping, and how much should one pay for that service?
Anywhere, a quality retipper is probably going to charge you minimum $150 to $50. I mean, I think in the early days, Soundsmith was getting that much for their entry-level retip service. But of course, now that I'm sending much higher end cartridges for retip to Steve, I think they're going to be higher, because he's really rebuilt them. I could show you guys before and after pictures. At some point, I'll probably do a video on that. It's unbelievable what this guy will do. I mean, I've sent cartridges that look completely gone, far gone, corroded internally, and they come back looking perfect. And that service will run you between $400 and maybe $700. But when you have a $3,000 or $4,000 cartridge, I don't think it's a lot to pay to have a second lease on life, in my view. Anyway,
Scott, do you have your mono there you can show us for a second?
Yes.
Hey, what?
Just go ahead, Scott. So, Leanne, I'm going to talk to you about this. So, Leanne, Scott's holding up the Miyajima Labs cartridge, 3250 or something like that, US.
Yeah.
And I needed to get it retipped because it literally, the diamond fell off it. It wasn't overused. There's maybe 400 or 500 hours on it. So here's what we'll talk about retipping. So the company, OEM, back to Japan, to Miyajima-san, they wanted $2,200 US. They wanted 50%. So I didn't know anything about retipping, and I'll tell you what Angie said a couple of weeks ago, and she had a great comment. And Oz, just jump in if I screw it up. She basically, so I contacted through Michael Trokalakis. He's a very nice fellow in Seattle. He gave me a heads up. He gave me the gentleman you use, Oz.
Steve.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Okay.
And I also a fellow on Instagram called Groove Tickler. And he said, "Oh, do it $300, Anthony." He asked me all the right questions. Is it conical? Yes. What is it? 0.7 or 1 millimeter? He asked me all the right questions.
Okay.
And he had a great. So I sent it off to him, and he did a whole thing and showed me the photographs. And it's wonderful. Everything was, but I put it on for sale before I sent it to my friend Scott, because I thought, oh, I'll sell it. But I'm telling him I'm getting it retipped with Groove Tickler. It's a $300 retip, so I'm only selling it for half price or less. The distributor came on, said, "You can't sell that cartridge. It's not factory," which I said it wasn't factory.
Right.
And you can't even sell it as a Miyajima cartridge. So that's what you're up against, Leanne. They're very, very good. It's big bucks to go to the OEM, and you may want to keep it for a little while. You usually get a brand new cartridge back. Now, John DeVore had a great video the other day, and he had his a Quetsu that he liked, a Quetsu Coral, which he loved, and he's got thousands of hours on it, and it's just now come to the end. Angie says if you look after your cartridges, because most people say it's about 1,000 hours, but I've been putting the numbers in onto my iPhone every time I play my Analog Relax. I'm going to show you this cartridge because it's $17,750. you can just see it there, the light brown one in Yakusugi Cedar. I've never heard anything like it. It's the greatest cartridge I've ever heard. It's the greatest piece of equipment I've ever heard, along with my speakers. But you got to pay to play. They're very, very expensive. But I will tell you, I wanted to show you one record of how that cartridge affected. I don't want to impede on Oz's time, but I just wanted to show
No, please.
This record is a testament, and it's probably the weakest one they've done. It's still very good, worth buying. So when I first got it, I played it on my Phase Mation and I played it on my Akita, and it was great. But it was cut pretty loud, and it wasn't my favorite. I played this today on that cartridge, my Analog Relax, and it's totally transformed the record. You can still tell it's cut hot, but all the subtlety that I wasn't hearing on a, I'll show you, on a $9,700 Ikeda Kai cartridge is an incredible cartridge, moving coil, and it sounded really good on that record. But that Analog Relax cartridge smoked it. So you know, you do get what you pay for, unfortunately, and they're very expensive. So back to the retipping, Leanne. So that's what you're up against. So Oz's Connection, the one I suggest on Instagram, Groove Tickler, highly recommended. Groove Tickler's $300, and you'll get. We're looking forward to hearing how Scott's new mono sounds, because that's done by Groove Tickler. So anything else, Oz, about retipping?
No, I completely trust my buddy Steve. I've known him for years, and he's never let me down. Yeah, all my clients are very happy. So yeah, choose someone like him, and I don't think you're doing it wrong. Absolutely. He also has a really good turnaround time. Sometimes when I used to send cartridges to the Soundsmith, it would be like a 6-8 months wait.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess they're very busy. Don't get me wrong. I'm not. Their work was fine, but you know, I can usually get something done by Steve within 2 or 3 weeks max. So
yeah,
he's awesome.
I think Groove Tickler was about 2 months, but I mean, I looked at the cartridge; it looked great, and he sent me incredibly detailed microscopic photographs of this.
Yes, that's important.
Yeah,
that's important.
I thought he was great. He did a whole thing on.
And listen, in these days, you know, with Koetsu being gone, what are you going to do? If you need your Koetsu retipped, you have to send it to a third party like them. There's no other choice. Koetsu's no more.
Well, John's not even to send back his Carl. He just put a lambda, an Etna lambda. Is it Lyra?
Lyra.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The top one is amazing cartridge.
Yeah.
So let's see. Okay.
I do have a Lyra. It's there somewhere. Yeah, I do have a mono. Yeah, it's nice.
It's there on that table somewhere. My God,
somewhere. I have so many.
What a collection! Angie also has a cartridge.
I'm sure she's got a massive one.
It's just amazing. I mean, the two of you guys are amazing. Wiki, I have a question for you. Oz, can you read that?
Sure. Let me put my glasses on. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Optimum VTA geometry is best adjusted at the head shell. Are there any that incorporate this feature for VTA adjustment? Any head shells?
Yeah, you mentioned the Jellicoe, and you had a moving one.
For VTA?
I know. Do you mean? But do you mean when? What is it when it's this way? Azimuth?
No, I think they mean VTA, vertical tracking angle. Well, at the end, really, you have to do it your ears. You know, at the end, you know, you can hope to get it, you know, parallel as close as possible. Then you experiment. You go you go up and you go down and see what sounds best to your ear.
I got Nick says he goes to Groove Tickler. That's my guy, Joseph Long's wonderful.
Okay.
There are a few like Ozzy said as well, at affordable prices. Because if you want to, I mean, you know, I'm eking my Analog Relax out. I mean, I bought it. It wasn't cheap. I still got a great deal, but even a really good deal is incredibly expensive. Yeah. So to retip it's going to be $10,000, and that's not going to happen. So I'm going to just eke it out and then But Angie said, and John DeVore followed up today with his quotes of coral, that if you look after them,
Yeah.
not liquid, just brush them, right? And stylus guard. I mean, they can last forever. He said, just if you play them 5 hours a day, 6 hours a day, you might have, but John said he's played the hell out of his Quetzal.
I can vouch for that, because look at all these cards I have here. Many of these are 40 years old by now, and they sound fantastic.
Oh, that's
really good. Even though when you account for their age, it's unbelievable how great that Gray sounds or my Stanton sounds. And these are cards I've owned since like the 80s, guys. Come on. They haven't been retipped. They haven't nothing. Keep them. Take care of them. Don't abuse them. Set them up correctly. Keep them under AC. Don't stick them in a hot garage. And I think they're going to last a lot longer than most people think.
Scott says, can you share Steve's contact info in the video at some point? How do you get a hold of Steve?
Is Steve Lung? Absolutely. I have a card here somewhere, but yeah.
Let's just think about it for a second while I ask you a couple more questions.
Yeah.
Wicked XR, Anthony, that playback result was the synergy with your phase action. I mean, not mastering. I'm not sure the phase action, what that means. Oh, I see what you mean. Okay. Yeah, well, it was very interesting. I know that a lot of the subtlety that it eluded the other cartridges, great cartridges, by the way.
I'm hearing that too, between what I used to hear with the HANA ML and now with this phasmation.
Oh, show us your HANA.
Oh.
Show us your HANA.
This is...
What did Sky say? What did Sky say? Bye-bye, Hannah.
Bye-bye, Hannah. Well, it was nice for a while. I liked it. But,
it was nice while it lasted. It's not you, it's me.
I had Hannah's sister too, the SL. I didn't like her at all. And this is the evolution that I'm sorry, not evolution, AT33 EV that Oz was talking about.
You like that one?
This was great. Really nice, smooth, forgiving, as he said.
Do you have your phasmation box there?
Yeah. There's the phasmation.
Oh, PP 500.
Yeah.
Just like you.
And you can see close-ups of it in the video too. Some really nice close-ups.
Fabulous. Beautiful, my friend.
But it does moving to that phasmation, I'm hearing a more refined sound, much more refined.
Well,
so much more pleasant to listen to, especially classical.
Well, that's what we were talking about between moving magnet and moving coral. They're apples and oranges. Jim, what cartridge do you have, my friend?
An Autophon Blue.
Yeah, which is one of the best values in high-end audio. And I'll tell you one thing. I reviewed it when I was at Angie's, and Angie put it on next to an esoteric $100,000 digital system. And I was on your turntable, Scott, and with that Autophon Blue, and the Autophon Blue killed it.
Really?
I was like, it's so good. It's such a good cartridge. The red is $99. That's an insane deal. But I mean, how much is the blue? It's like $250 or something. Very good. I recommend it. And as I said, some of those Audio Technicas. Unfortunately, you have to pay to play. Like some of the kids, when you're young, you just get what you get. Like that Autophon Blue, I always recommend it. Just go buy it. It's fantastic. But and you can change the needle when it goes, goes bad. But I remember that I want to get into high-end audio, Anthony. Some cartridges. I need some cartridges. Okay, I always have to ask you about your budget. $90. Okay. Well,
yeah.
Go get Autophon Red and rock out. You'll have a good time. So Wicked said, "No, that's Stephen Bass is excellent."
Yes.
Hey, Alan, our friend Alan. I'm going to put the link up in a little while. Going to show some records in a second from Scott's got some very special records, and maybe Jim got some this week. Hi, everybody. I had very good results retipping by Andy at Needle Clinic in California. And there's another one. That's great. I don't know him. Ozzy, do you know him?
I don't know him.
No. But if we're going to get Alan will give us some great recommendations. and talking about getting retipped. I think he got retipped. Oh, hi, Loki. How are you?
Hey, Loki.
Hey, Loki.
Yeah, Loki, can you tell us more about your retipping? Did you get, Loki? Serious question. Did you get your phono stage yet? I've been talking to Jack about getting his phono stage, and it's the same recommendation. And James Myers, who you might know, we tease each other about the LSO and the Cleveland Orchestra. James got my recommendation. The what's it called? The phono box or the phono, whatever in the States is different. Phono Classic. But get the basic one, moving magnet, no volume control, you don't need it. And then get an MC4, what do they call it? Step-up transformer. Tim DeParavicini's.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like for $1,000, I think it's $1,000 for the moving magnet. You add the $2,500, but for $3,500, $4,000, you get a world-class phono stage. I know you're thinking about Gold Note, Loki. Not my cup of tea, but your mileage may vary, my friend. And if you get one, come up and give us a review or write us a review. You won't come up.
Hey, Oswaldo, I have a question for maybe for the folks who aren't here and listen to this stream when we can't answer questions, or even for some of the people who are here. So someone calls you up and says, I need to buy a phono cartridge and I want to spend, I'll just pull a number out, $1,500.
Okay.
How do you qualify him as far as what speakers do you have, what preamp, what turntable? I mean, how do you go through the process?
I usually, not usually, have to ask the questions. It's important to find out. Well, first of all, I usually ask about the collection. You know, is this a gentleman that has 1,000 records or 30 albums, right? That's a good one to ask. Also, of course, I have to find out about the turntable, the tone arm. Oops, sorry. The tone arm and the phono stage is very important as well, because a $1,500 cartridge, that we're starting to get into a serious level kind of performance, mid-level performance cartridge. And, you know, I wouldn't want to put up $1,500 moving coil, say the Art 9XI on a Fluence or, you know, $300 deal, right? It wouldn't go very well, I don't think. So that's important. The cartridge needs to match the level of the associated gear. It's very important. The arm is very important. If you have the wrong arm, an arm that's too low mass, well, that will limit you as to what kind of cartridge you can really mount on there. So I have to ask the questions, because you know what? At the end of the day, I sell you a $1,500 cartridge and you're unhappy, then it's my problem later on. And I can have that.
This is so important, because this is why it's so important to deal with someone like Oswaldo, or someone who knows what they're doing.
Right. Where you go to the stores like Angie's and Oz's place.
In photography, people buy, 8 different lenses till they buy the right one.
Yeah.
8 different tripods till they buy the right one. It's cheaper to buy the right one first.
Correct. And when possible, I allow that in-home audition. I mean, that's the final thing.
Yeah, and folks, go to someone who knows. The guy in Best Buy is not going to know.
Yeah.
No, you have to go to a specialist. The other thing is, it's like I always say, Angie always asks you, and Oz said, what music do you listen to? How many records do you have? What's your run like? How big is it? What's your budget? But important thing, analog is like this. There's the cartridge, then the tone arm, and the geometry, and the physics, and the turntable, and the suspension. And as Angie has taught me, one of the most important things, the phono stage. A friend of mine right now is having trouble with his phono stage because the gain is very low. And that's poor Jack. So, and I know that Loki is thinking about getting another phono stage. And so I've been looking, and my phono stage is $6,100 and was made to sound even better by a $5,400 step-up transformer by Ikeda. Amazing phono stage. But the $2,500 one from the MC4 on EA is incredible. $2,500. And So yeah, you can get really world-class stuff if you really research it. And the people I've recommended that to Yoshino, it's $1,500 for the entry level, and then get the thing. They're in love with it. It's fine. And it gives my $6,100 phono stage a run for its money. In fact, it did things better than mine. Now, when I add my Akita set, all bets are off. It's now a $12,000 phono stage, and it's very, very good. But the phono stage you have, Alice, the Phase Mation, can you show us that phono stage that you have?
Of course, yes. Let me
Now, this is a phono stage, my friends.
Let me move this box out of the way to get more light. Yeah, here is the Phase Mation EA 1200. It's a dual monaural. So we have a complete separate chassis for the left channel, complete separate chassis for the right channel. It's a 3-input phono stage. And you've got some settings for when you play mono. You have 2 different curves for mono. You have your stereo, of course, balanced and unbalanced. And of course, the separate power supplies right here, which I'm keeping on a separate shelf. I didn't have to, but I did, just to kind of keep it away from the head unit.
Angie sells that, and she says,
yes,
when people get that phono stage, because there's transformers in that phono stage, hand wound by the Phase Mation guys. So
that's correct.
It comes with the transformers already in there. Like the transformer in the Yoshino, they're good. They're good, but it's when you get it's the guys who wind them, and the Japanese are the best at it. And so the Phase Mation one is great, but Angie says people go bananas over that phono stage. How are you enjoying it, Oz?
That's my flagship. That is that's my baby. That it's probably the best phono stage thus far that I've heard, and I've heard many. I get invited to a lot of different homes. I set up a lot of different turntables, not just in Florida, but around the country. And this is quite special.
What does it retail for?
This guy's $18,000 for the phono.
It is not cheap. You got to pay to play, unfortunately.
It is the second from their top of the line. The only other thing that's better in their lineup is $50,000. And that's a $6 ordeal. Quite honestly, I could get a second power supply for this, so I could have monaural power supply. And then they say if I buy
you're just showing off now.
The other thing is that I could buy their top of the line standalone SUT, which is the same one that's inside that $50,000 phono, and I could get within a stone's throw away from that performance. But I think I'm going to stay where I'm at. I don't need to. This is plenty good.
I'm just going to send Scott the airtight set. I know he's gonna go crazy. Scott Stableford has a question. Very good question, Jack. I would love to know what cartridge limit is for my VPI Traveler Power Sound Z phono combination. What would you think you would spend on? You're a VPI guy, Oz. What would you spend for that setup?
And the turntable is a Traveler. I love that table. I used to sell a lot of those. That's actually a very good table. That's very similar to the current Cliffwood, and of course the I have one of those.
You had it here for a while.
Good cartridges that were expensive. One of my favorite was a Vandenhall. The Vandenhall MC1 Special. It's like it used to be $1,800, might be closer to $2,000. It would not be outrageous to mount that level cartridge on that turntable. The arm and the platform is good enough that you will get, and of course, if you have a decent enough phono stage, I would not be afraid of that. Or
max out the arm.
200, for example. Mm-hmm.
Max out the arm of the best cartridge you can get. Here's one for you. Will a Phase Mation work on a 9.5 moving mass SME tone arm? Which SME? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But what do you think, Oz?
I don't think that it would be a problem.
Yeah.
Personally.
SME's kind of unique.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think. Okay. Here we go. This is James. Not to change the subject, but can you recommend a table that will accept 2 arms for reasonable price, 5 to 15K? Ozzy, what do you think?
5 to 15K? Well, the entry level Avenger for sure is a given. That guy's under 15, and that will host up to 3 different tone arms. So that's
a great table.
Yeah.
One of our writers says that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be. And Angie sells VPI. So does Oz. Give them a call.
Okay.
and they'll look after you.
I looked at the Google Maps while you were talking. I'm 15 hours, Oswaldo.
Okay, come on down, man.
Ozzy, I just want to say thank you on behalf of our crew here. It's so lovely to see you. I know you've had a very busy last few months, but
Yeah.
it's great to see you looking so fantastic.
I'm
That
always
Florida-
honored. I appreciate it.
That Florida weather is doing well. I know Scott and I talk about you all the time when you're not around, and Scott
honored.
just absolutely adores you, and you do so many wonderful things for him. And it was for no other reason, just for absolute kindness, and then of
Yeah.
course we got the show going and that. So Oz, we hope you're going to come back very, very soon and talk about other things.
Thank
Okay,
you.
my friend.
Thank you very much. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Ozzy.
Good evening.
Thanks.
Good night,
Thank
guys.
you.
And I know the Peanut Gallery said thank you as well. Thanks, Oz. Amazing. I'll talk to you soon. Okay, my friend.
Got it. Good night.
All the
Good night.
best.
Bye.
What a great guy.
Wow.
What a great
You
guy.
were so lucky.
I am very, very blessed to have him in my orbit. Yeah. I'm so glad the day he reached out to me. I felt right at home with him.
Well, he's a lovely fella and he's incredibly knowledgeable.
You know,
And-
when you're spending that kind of money, you need someone like Oswaldo. He
Yeah.
seems to get it. He's after your happiness, not his pocketbook.
It's true. Like, even if you're not spending that kind of money, because
Yeah.
I did that VPI trade for he didn't make any money on it. And he set the whole thing up. He let me audition it for a month. Same with the speakers, everything. He's incredible.
Mm.
Yeah.
All the thank yous. Great discussion, Oz. Thank you for your insights. Thanks, Oz. Bravo. Hey, here we go. We got a couple of our gang here tonight. Great to see you, Ryan. How you doing, my friend?
Oh, very good.
No more records. No. Brian, Jen's yelling at me, behave. I was being, quote, bullying Scott earlier. I got yelled at. Okay. And now there it is. I let the team come up every time. It's great. Remember when you can, oh, I'm kind of nervous. Now you're like, get me on, Kershaw, right now. Anyway, guys, great to see you. Hey, Alan, how are you, my friend?
Very well, thanks. Good to see
Hey,
Lovely
Alan.
to
everybody.
see you. Lovely to see you. We get a chance to see some records now.
Scott.
I just,
Thanks,
it was so much fun having Oz here. I mean, my God, what a character. Such a gentleman, such a gentle, kind soul, so knowledgeable, and just so happy to help him. You know, I think he's one of those guys, he's been in business a long time, like Angie. You know, they're so knowledgeable. They're very generous. I mean, Angie, she can be
He can't do enough for you.
she can be a tough character, trust me. And she's kicked my ass several times, but she's amazing. And she is incredibly generous with her time and, cartridges. And I mean, that woman, unbelievable. And Oz, I get the same vibe. And Scott would be telling me stories about Oz before Scott and I became, close friends. And Scott was writing for the magazine. And I would just sit back. Oh my, that guy is so nice. That's why on Facebook, when Scott said thank you about getting onto Audiophilia, and I said, and must say thank you to Oz too. It takes a village.
Yes,
Right.
it does.
Anyway, thanks, Oz. You're gonna come back soon. We're gonna insist. I know that so many great ideas, great show ideas, semi-annual cartridge show. Oh, there will be. Greg says great presentation. That's great. Okay, good. Okay, guys. Again. That was amazing from Oz. Now, I'm going to put Scott up for Scott. You have a few. Now, listen, guys. We've only got about. God, it's gone so fast tonight. We've only got about 11 minutes. Jim, since you mentioned your cartridge, which is amazing. Did you get a record this week that has to be shown, or can you hang around? Can you stick around until next week?
Oh, you can stick around till next week, but I
Are you
have got
sure
one.
Yeah, let me put you up. Go on. Just show us the one.
Well,
The one.
I was watching Scott's video yesterday. He was saying about the Kogan Paris Conservatoire Silvestri record, which goes, I don't know, for $3,000 or something.
Oh, look at that.
I've had this for 50 years. This is the Classics for Pleasure. But I wonder, Scott, is this just a repressing of the original? In which case, are these worth as much as your original Columbias, or?
Oh, well, I don't have an original Columbia, but on Discogs, they are very expensive. And I think that would probably be the most reasonable alternative.
Yeah, well, I mean, yes, this was, yeah. I mean, I
It's
don't
a
know what it's
repress,
paid,
yeah.
What was it, $2.99 at HMV?
Oh no, God, I paid. Yeah, this is when these classics and pleasures are 99p
Yeah.
retail in the 70s. I bought this in the 70s.
That's
But I thought it
very-
was interesting watching. I liked your video last night, Scott. It was very good. Anyway, I just wanted to say, well, I've got that record, so maybe I'll.
You just
maybe I'll
saved
sell it
thousands
on
of dollars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
put a reserve price on it or something of $500
So
or something.
Ryan, Sky, and Alan. And it's going to Scott's going to show us a couple that he's got from his friend Jim through that Discogs scam. I mean,
Well, I just want to show one because I haven't listened to all of these. Well, I'll show them quick. Jim showed them last week, but they're finally here in the house.
oh God, look at that!
That,
Oh, that speaker's corner.
yeah, these are all speakers.
Have you had a chance
But-
to listen to any of them yet?
The one I listened to was this, and it blew me away. I could not believe how good it is. I have the original. This is so much better. Really clear, beautiful piano tone. Lovely space. It's just piano, solo piano.
What have you been playing it on? Which cartridge?
The Phase-Mation. Yeah, that might be part of the reason. The Phase-Mation VPI Scout. I mean,
Do you remember when Angie we were talking?
I'm sure it sounds
Go
good
ahead, sorry,
on Angie's turntable too, but
Do you remember we talked about cartridges, and you kind of had Hannah, and the whole internet was in love with Hannah, right?
yeah.
And even the distributor didn't like Hannah. But anyway, and I said the Phase-Mation is coming. I think you're going to be quite surprised. Have you been quite surprised?
Quite surprised. Yes.
Amazing. So sorry, go ahead, Scott.
Even Oz said to me when I said, I have the SL, I don't like it. They're offering me a trade up to the ML, and he's like, oh, okay. He's not a fan either, really.
Hey, Ozzy, how are you? Okay, just before we go, let me just ask you about your cartridges. We know that Jim has the Autophone Blue. Jack, you have that. What do you have for your stereo cartridge?
Well, I'm using the ML.
Oh, you are, and are you enjoying it?
Well, I guess I don't have anything to compare it to. So,
Yeah,
it's
that's
very
right.
good.
Does a good job, of course.
I mean, that's the thing. When you can't compare, you don't know what you don't know, and I guess I'm learning. Maybe I should start comparing.
Well, I think if you got a cartridge from Oz or Angie, a good price, that has some, and then you save your pennies and get your wife to buy you that phono stage for Christmas. I think it's like Scott. It's going to be transformed.
Yeah.
Because once you start playing better moving coil cartridges and a good phono stage, it opens up. It's the subtlety. Like I said with this record today, even with a $9,000 cartridge, it did a great job on it. But that ridiculously priced $17,000 analog relax, that just transformed this record. I was so happy I got it because when I first got it, I was like, yeah, it's good. I love the cover. I bought it for the cover.
Yeah, I was going to get it for the cover too.
Anyway,
No,
Alan, what
props.
kind of cartridge do you have?
It's the Kaseki Purple Heart.
That's right.
What
Another-
about those?
What, you enjoying it?
Very much. And what happened was I bought it from a guy who upgraded to another cartridge. And unfortunately, when I was taking the plastic protective cover off, it took the stylus off. But he was good about it. He said, no problem, take care of it. And I sent it to this guy, Andy Kim in California.
Oh,
Andy
you
at the
mentioned
Needle
your needle.
Clinic. And he fixed it. He did it right away. It took like a day to get there. He worked on it immediately, like less than a week from sending it and getting it back. And I've had it for 8 months now, and I love it. It's great.
And the Kaseki Purple Heart is sounding as beautiful as ever.
It is.
No, I'm just teasing you because cartridges are
I
so
know.
personal, as Ozzy said. Scott says so many people think they need to upgrade the turntable.
Great point.
You only need
That's
to
a good
upgrade the
point.
cartridge.
Yeah.
I always say I max out the table and the arm for the cartridge.
Here's my dilemma. So what I replaced was the Clear Audio Essence MC, and I have kind of an entry-level project turntable with Grado Red on it, MM obviously. And I haven't done it yet, but I thought maybe I should put the MC Essence on the project, and it runs through an i5 phono stage. But I haven't done that yet. You know, the cartridge is more than the phono stage and the turntable.
Yeah.
And Sky, what cartridge you have, friend?
I have Koetsu Wajima cartridge.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, you can't get that retipped anymore, unfortunately. No.
I love.
How many hours on it?
I have about maybe 100 to 200 hours.
Oh, okay, not too bad. That's
You're
good.
good.
And what about on your other turntable?
I have a Hannah Black.
Hannah. Oh, Hannah.
Not Hannah, Orthophone.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
I
Scott's
have-
got an Autophone Black right now.
Yeah, it is. I like Orthophone, and I agree with Oz. I also really would love to get an Audio-Technica Art. I think that's also a really great turntable. Great.
Our friend Frank Doris is the distributor.
I have also
He raves
Sapex,
about
an
them.
old Koetsu, one of the original Koetsu I have. It's called the Sapex. I also love that. It's just fun.
Fabulous. And what about you, Ryan? What do you have?
I got the Orthophone Cadenza Black and the mono. So I have a 1200G technique, so I can switch the head shells. I can go back and forth between mono and stereo. But I have the same cartridge, so I don't have to adjust anything. It's pretty seamless.
Fantastic. Well, guys, I've got one more comment here. James, again, our friend from Cleveland or Columbus. Well said, Jack. I don't want to hear the analog relax cartridge. I might have to sell my car. People looked at. All I can say is that I found that Beethoven record that I sent to Sky, the Dutch pressing, I found another pressing, and I remember putting that opening the Kreutzer Sonata on. I went weak in the knees. I've never had that experience before. I've been emotionally overwhelmed. A whole loom of Nordust Valhalla 2 just freaked me out. It was so good. These speakers, they're 47,000 euros a pair. They should be brilliant, and they are. I had Jan come in. We were listening to some piano music. CD, Michelangelo doing very quiet Footprints in the Snow by Debussy. He said, Jan, come in, have a listen to this. Look how great it is. So she sat on my lap, actually, between. And do you remember that, Jan? Do you remember that when you listened to the Michelangelo on those speakers for the first time? It's not just the sound. It's all incredible, and the striking, the percussive part. It's you get the artist's intent. So, for example, when I was playing string quartets, this is why I mentioned I put that on Facebook. If your audio reviewer is not using string quartets as part of their, be afraid, be very afraid. I got crapped out from a great height, but they don't understand. Jim will know while you're listening, the interplay between the players, the pre-information, I call it, the ambience, the almost telepathic playing that a string quartet does. It's unique to a string quartet, and it was amazing. And so, yeah, those speakers, they're $47,000. They should be great. But that cartridge, James, I can't tell you how great it is. It's just remarkably good. But it's 17,000. But some people spend, on a Q7, buy a Q3 and get the cartridge. I want to tell you. Yeah. I always say, does your wife have an X5, Jack?
Well, yeah, but that's
we have an X2.
it's
Yours-
not.
Yours is bigger than mine.
Toyota Tacoma.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, listen, I'm sorry we didn't get to the peanut gallery. First of all, thank you for the great questions with our great friend Oz.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Great comments, great questions. I did mention tonight was going to be mainly cartridges. We got through a couple of records from Jim and Scott. And next time, I promise Ryan, Alan, and Sky will have more time for records. Jack, next week there'll be no guests. We'll have lots of time to show as many records as you like. But I think cartridges, they're my favorite. I just love them. I have this. I didn't show the other one. I have this Ikeda 9 mono. It's on that turntable there. It's really beautiful. But as Jack says, you can get into the anniversary AT33 mono Audio Technica.
The best value in my room here is
You
that
could get Jim's Audiophone Blue, you could get Jack's AT, and you'll be sound as a pound. So terrific show, everybody. Daryl, great show as always. Derek, this hour and a half flew by. Half an hour.
sure did.
Yeah.
It did, boy. When I was listening to Oz focus on his collection, my eyes were bulging out. I let my other friend, when he gets upgrades, and Wicked, thank you. Good night. Okay, guys. So just hang around for a second. Peanut Gallery, and for the people who are watching in the rerun, we really appreciate your support. Please give it a like, subscribe. We're on our way to 7,000 subscribers.
Wow.
6,000 was just that little time ago. So we're really thrilled that we're reaching that with about classical music. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Have a great week. See you next week.
Bye.
Lovely.